All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining our event for today on the healing power of music. I'm Jasmine Chandy, and I have here with me my colleague, Janine Quinn, who's a social worker. And we're happy to welcome you to our event. Thank you for finding your way here, whether you've joined in on YouTube or if you're going to be joining in over the phone. We're going to go ahead and get started by first breaking down what the day is going to look like. So we're going to start off with a presentation by Susan Imus, who's a creative arts therapist. And then after that presentation, we're going to have our performance by the Like Effect Clarinet Quartet, followed by Q&A. And so the way the Q&A is going to work is throughout the presentation, you can add in any questions that you have on YouTube. So there's a live chat button. If you've joined in on your computer, you'll see the live chat button at the bottom of the screen or on the right side. Same as the tablet, you'll see that live chat button at the bottom of the screen. And so if you've joined online, you could add in any questions or comments throughout the program. For those of you who join in over the phone, we will have the opportunity for you to unmute yourself at the end of the program and ask any questions that you might have as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce Susan, who's going to give the presentation on the healing power of music. So Susan Imus is a creative arts therapist and associate professor at Columbia College Chicago, where she founded and coordinates the Arts in Health minor. So we're very happy to have her today, and we're going to go ahead and start the presentation.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen here. So bear with me while we transition. I work very slowly on the Okay. Can everyone see that? That is on YouTube with us?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, as well as Janine, for inviting me to participate today in this exciting performance. I love talking about the arts and the power they have to affect our quality of life. I am actually a creative arts therapist, as Jasmine introduced me. That means that I have studied and learned how to use my art form to help improve people's health and to foster wellness. There are 5 creative arts therapies that are in existence and practice in our world today. That includes art therapy, dance movement therapy, drama therapy, poetry therapy, and last but not least, and what we'll be looking at today, is music therapy. I happen to be a board-certified dance movement therapist, and I am someone who then uses music to move people in my workshops and throughout their lives. So let me begin with a question for you to contemplate. Does music move you? And if so, how? So think about that a moment. How does music move you? And if so, how? Oops, it's not letting me advance my screen here. My screen is stuck. Okay, let's see if we can go backwards. All right, it's unstuck, thank goodness. Evidence-based research has indicated how the arts have actual therapeutic benefits in our lives. So the therapeutic benefits of music that I've articulated here for you in this screen are the following, and that is music improves and stimulates our memories. Music can improve your motor functioning, how you walk, how your gait is phrased, the articulation in your joints, the smoothness, the grace of your movement. Music can foster what we call feeling identification. Now that might mean you're not sure how you're feeling today or what emotion you're experiencing, and a piece of music comes on in the radio, and all of a sudden you're like, that fits me. That's how I'm feeling today. It allows you to identify, or to what we say empathize or attune to the sounds that you're hearing. Music can also assist you in what we call affect regulation. And that means just basically it can shift your mood. How many times have you thought about, maybe something that's disturbed you or bothered you, and all of a sudden a song comes on that you really like, and all of a sudden that problem has disappeared. You're feeling so much better, your mood is shifted, and that problem has just gone away. How about music improving sleep? Do any of you actually play music in the background as you're getting ready for bed, or perhaps once you're in bed, to help calm your nervous system? Music can also foster relaxation. It literally can help your muscles unwind. It can help calm the mind and just improve your body-mind, what we call relaxation response. Music can also increase your socialization. It brings people together, just like what we're doing today. We're coming together to experience the joy of music as a community. We also say that it has the power to create what we call cohesion. We're coming together for a shared purpose, and that means that group has a sense of cohesion. And what I like to also simply say is music helps you belong. It helps you belong to the group that you're a part of because you're all sharing the same experience. Music can improve your cognition. It can help you think. And last but not least, music brings enjoyment. So today, we're going to learn some steps to help us actively listen. We're going to learn some ways to appreciate the music in the presence of others. And as I mentioned, we're going to, of course, enjoy ourselves. So let's start with some examples. Can you think of a favorite song of yours? And I'm going to invite you, if you know how to use the chat function, to go ahead and write a favorite song into the chat. And while you're thinking about that, what's one of your favorite songs? It might be something that you've heard recently, or it might be something from your childhood, your teen years, your young adulthood. And let me ask some of our coordinators, do you have a favorite song? Jasmine or Janine or Ashley, can you think of a favorite song that you have? You would like to share it with the group?
We have a couple coming in. The first is I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston.
Okay.
The second is Bob Dylan's The Times They Are Changing. And then the third one is Over the Rainbow.
Oh, I love that one. What nice selections. Is anybody else? Any of our coordinators? Don't be shy. Do you have a favorite song that you can think of? No? Well, let me ask those that have already shared them. What happens when you listen to that favorite song? Are there sensations that you experience when you hear Over the Rainbow? Or when you hear, I want to dance with somebody? Okay. Disclaimer here. I cannot sing, if you couldn't tell. But I can move. So if I hear that song, I'd be dancing with you. But think about this. Are there sensations when you hear Over the Rainbow? Do you get chills? Do you have tingles? Does it make you want to move? That song, I Want to Dance with Somebody, that clearly makes me want to move. Are there images that surface recalling a time when you first heard this music? Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I remember first hearing that in The Wizard of Oz when Julie Garland sang it. I think she was out in the field leaning against a tractor of some kind with hay around her. So the story comes to life. The images surface when you hear the music. How about the feeling or an emotion when you hear the music? What emotions surface when you hear Over the Rainbow? To me, I get kind of a wistful thinking. I feel hopeful in terms of my feelings. I feel positive and believe something that I want to happen can happen, which is obviously hopefulness. And the thoughts that run in your head when you hear the music, as I previously mentioned, with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, it reminds me of when I was a child watching the black and white television and hearing that song sung by Judy Garland. So you see, by hearing a piece of music, all sorts of stories happen. The stories that involve sensations in our lives, that involve feelings, that involve images. And what I call that is SMIFT. It's taken from an acronym of SIFT, and that stands for sensations, movement, images, feelings, and thoughts. And this is a way for you to track your experience, to improve your understanding and appreciation of a piece of art, a piece of music. It's what we call actively listening. I think we've already given enough examples, so but I'll go ahead and give you one of my favorite songs, and that's Reasons by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that or can recall that. And my SMIFT to that is I get chills and tingles when I hear that music. And it makes me want to sway and kind of think of like move through a slow dance or even maybe wiggle a little bit. And it reminds me of a time when I was in college dancing with my boyfriend out on this patio. and the feelings I had were of love and joy. And the thoughts of hearing the song Reasons brings me back to a fun time in my life with my first love. Those are the examples of Smith. So today we will hear classical and popular music genres performed by the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartet. They're going to be performing popular music, which is wonderful in recalling memories throughout your lifespan. And then the classical music is particularly good at stimulating one's imagination. Images will surface. When I hear classical music, I often choreograph in my head. So notice what surfaces for you as you actively listen today. And you may even want to move, dance, draw, or write in response to what you hear. And then, if you're wanting to later, we can share our experience after the music concludes. So, enjoy the performance.
Thank you, Susan. I want to make sure you all can hear me. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you, Susan. So I'm Janine Quinn, and I'm a social worker here at Rush, and I want to welcome everyone here today who's out in the virtual community. Susan, thank you for your presentation. It will really enhance our experiences listening to the music today. So Jasmine and I and all of us at Rush Generations are excited and honored to collaborate with Susan and the International Music Foundation for this very special event. We want to say a thank you to Mark Riggleman, the Executive Director, Ashley Ertz, Program Manager Extraordinaire, and of course, the incredibly talented musicians of the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartet for helping to make this concert possible. And on a note of meaning, we are especially grateful to offer this program today, as it was a year ago this past March that we at Rush had planned to present a live concert with the International Music Foundation at a City of Chicago Senior Center on the Southwest Side. And it was part of both our work out in the community. However, the concert was canceled due to COVID. And so this concert today has all the more meaning that we can all gather to join together. The International Music Foundation is one of Chicago's landmark institutions for over 40 years, making a difference in the lives of many, providing free admission to all programs in easy accessible locations, and which for now is virtual. And each year, the foundation presents world-class musicians and dynamic repertoire in unique concert formats, such as this one, and out in the community, engaging listeners with interactive and short programs. So again, thank you to Susan, the International Music Foundation, and the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartet for helping us to celebrate Older Americans Month. And I will remind everyone in the audience to please put any comments or questions for the musicians or anyone here today in the program. I put it into the chat. And now I will turn this over to Ashley Ertz to introduce the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I'm just going to say a quick few words. I am the program manager here at International Music Foundation. As Janine said, we've been here in Chicago for over 40 years, presenting programs such as the Dame Myra Hess concerts and the Rush Hour summer series. So you can read more about us at imfchicago.org. And today we are really pleased to present the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartet. You can check them out as well on their website. And without further ado, here they are.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And to the clarinet quartet, just have to say you're getting a lot of love online. Many of us really enjoyed it. So thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and give you all a couple minutes. I know Ashley is figuring out the sound there so you can hear the questions we have. Thank you. That was absolutely beautiful. Great. And Susan is here. Awesome. All right. So let's get started with our first question. All right. Okay, the first question is, how did the quartet members meet and decide to form a quartet?
I'm Nora. I'm the clarinet one at Flat. Thanks, Joe. So we all met as grad students at DePaul University. Callie was not the original member of the quartet, but she's been here the longest. We are very happy that she's at it. It basically is, yeah. So we met in 2010. And the quartet formed in 2011. So we've been together for about 10 years now. Yeah.
Wow. That's great. Thank you. The next question we have, and this one is directed to Susan. What are ways to incorporate Smift while staying at home?
Well, one of the fun ways is to do what I did during my active listening of the quartet. I just listened to the music and I did what's called kinesthetic drawing. And that means you just make marks all over your page in response to the music. And this ended up being the floor of the ocean, SeaWorld. And I just let the music move me as I use, like this was called rocking. I don't know if you can see that. And one of the pieces, I had a strong image of a castle. And it was the one where you were clapping and using really strong rhythm. And I thought of the image of people marching to this castle in celebration. And then on another song, I had the image of I don't know, it was like a circus top. And then the circus top became a fancy dress. And then the dress became a flower, and it reminded me of bells and swirling and turning. And then I ended up doing some just little sketches, I don't know if you can see them, of dancing women who ended up juggling balls for some reason. It just lets your imagination go and play. And I call that Dancing Girls Juggling in Bubbles. So from some of these creative inspirations of the images through the music, you can dabble either in drawing or dancing and movement, and you can work them up to make something that maybe you'd add color or you'd add other like feathers or pipe cleaners. You can make three-dimensional sculptures. Just let your imagination go as you listen to the music. You can also have your own instruments available. You can have pots and pans. You can, make sounds or keep the rhythm to the music so that you really feel a part of what's taking place. So those are just some ways that you can let your sensations move you, and then you can bring them into images through drawing. I also started to write a poem from some of the words that surfaced for me, and I might write the poem later. So hopefully that answers some questions.
That's great. So it sounds like it's about being present, but also just being free with your thoughts and your imagination. That's great. Thank you for showing those pictures. The next question we have, are clarinet quartets uncommon?
They're not wholly uncommon, but I think saxophone quartets are more common, and string quartets are far more common. But we and clarinetists usually play in like a woodwind quartet, which would be flute, clarinet, oboes, but we really like to play with each other and like the possibilities of exploring the possibilities of what we can do with this particular.
Speak louder.
We like exploring the possibilities of what we could do with this ensemble of instruments.
This is also a complete orchestral section of what you would find if you were to go to the orchestra and see something like Stravinsky or Ravel. So we all play together in the orchestra, and it's a great, especially now when the orchestra is silenced, for maybe freelancing musicians. This is a great way for us to keep making music together.
Yeah, I don't think a clarinet quartet is necessarily uncommon, but I think perhaps doing one at the professional level, like we're kind of trying to do, is not as common for sure.
That's great. And that actually kind of segues into the next question, which is, what did practice look like during quarantine?
Oh boy, wow. I can tell this one.
For us, it came and went as the case count went up and down. So when we were actually in lockdown last year, we did not rehearse at all. But over the summer, as the case count went down, we started actually rehearsing outside together when the weather was nice. And then as the case counts climbed higher in the winter, we took a temporary hiatus. And then we were fortunate enough to get vaccinated somewhat early in 2021. And so all around the same time. So once we all became vaccinated, we were able to rehearse regularly inside very comfortably at that point. But we were able to continue practicing in strategic places during the pandemic.
We also kept meeting like both via video chat just to talk and hang out, as well as outside, even in driving snow. But we didn't play our instruments when it was snowing.
When we couldn't meet in person, we also tried to scratch that itch by doing remote recording projects, putting out some videos on YouTube and things like that, to kind of hold us over until we were finally able to meet in person again.
Oh, that's great. That's great. We just got a question now. What was the inspiration for the red shoes?
Yeah, I think it started as I think it started in grad school, and I'm a big shoe person.
All of them are.
And Joe had a pair of red Converse, so he was like, "Oh, I can get a big pair of comfy shoes." Concerts, if we all wear red shoes.
The real reason that, well, yeah, I would probably most guys would tend to wear a collared tie of some kind. I hate wearing neckties when I have to play concerts, and so the fact that they all have red shoes, I just thought, oh great, I can get red shoes and not have to wear them.
How turn they?
Awesome. The next question we have, it's a two-part question. How did they get to be so fabulous? And to that end, the time spent practicing and also frequency of your practice.
I think this is probably a question that requires two different answers. One, thank you for your compliment. That's very kind.
Also, they're fabulous. I am. Thank you very much.
I think this is something that is true for all musicians. If you are really if you're into it, you never stop improving and you never stop working to better yourself individually. It has taken us a very long time to get where we are now as a group. And it is something that as we play together, I know there are many things that we all wish to improve as we go in the future. In the Great Before times, we would rehearse as we were able to around our busy teaching and freelancing schedules, which was pretty frequent.
Yeah.
And it would like maybe a couple times a month, I would say.
Yeah, which is to say that all of us are not full-time quartet members. We do many other things aside from this. And this just kind of happens to be our own little friendly musical sanctuary where we can rehearse together and have a nice musical experience together.
Yeah.
Each other's.
I'd say like in terms of individual practice, we've all been playing the clarinet for over 20 years at this point. And I know we all practice as regularly as we can. And try to go, I mean, I think it's different for every musician that feels right for them, whether it's, you know, an hour here or a couple hours there. But yeah, just things they know.
Well, I was going to add that as a group in recent months, we've made it a point to meet at least once a week to rehearse together, whether or not we have an upcoming performance, mainly to keep our chops up, to continue playing with an ensemble together, and to also improve our own mental health. It's been very rewarding to continue that on a weekly basis with each other. And I think that's all I wanted to add. Yeah.
Thank you. Our last question, and this is for all of you, so the quartet as well as for Susan, how has music helped you during this past year?
I will say at the beginning, for me, when the quarantine happened, it was a very scary thing to be a musician. First of all, I was in the middle of my master's degree at DePaul University, and the quarantine happened kind of right about spring break. And after that, I decided I'm just going to defer rather than do online music school. And then my calendar suddenly went completely blank because every concert got canceled. And I'll be really honest with you, I was depressed for the first couple of months of the pandemic. And it wasn't really until it started being naturally light outside, which Chicago doesn't like to do, that I finally was feeling a bit better and a bit more ready to kind of tackle playing again, just because it just seemed so hopeless at the beginning. But as things kind of picked up, and as we all kind of sought each other out a bit more for our own mental well-being, that kind of led to more being in person, to practicing, to having goals to work on, and that it helped me a great deal later on. But I will say that it was a large blow to my mental health at the very beginning.
Yeah, and I will say the days I remembered / wanted to do my scales, it was just sit down and play for a little while. It was amazing how quickly, within 5 minutes, I just started feeling better. Mostly just getting air moving through my body. So you can't hold your breath when you're playing clarinets, so whether or not you're unconsciously sitting there feeling anxious about things, you're forced to sort of like let it all out whenever you're doing something like playing scales. So on the days whenever I did play, it was a good reminder that was actually very helpful.
I think for all musicians, this time has felt really unboring. Particularly, we're all freelancers, and we've talked about it as a group. I know that 3/4 of us found it really painful for a good chunk of the pandemic to even listen to orchestral music. And I think I know all of us and every other musician I know has gone through peaks and valleys throughout this time of practice. For me, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was practicing like crazy because it was like, what else am I going to do? Distracting myself. And then, there's periods of, you're doing really well, and then other times you're not doing so well. I think the one thing that music, in terms of, for me, when I think about it, like Aaron said, the scales, but most of the community that we've created amongst the 4 of us, and the ability to talk about music, even when we weren't able to make music together, was so soul lifting. And the few opportunities that we've had over this past year to actually share music with an audience digitally have been profoundly moving. Yeah. And to add to what Erin was saying about playing her scales every day and breathing and such things, I actually found it very mentally rewarding to play my clarinet every day nearly every day during the past year, because to play a wind instrument, you have to breathe deeply, just like many meditation, exercises. And so to me, it felt almost like meditation. To go back to some of my favorite songs to play, I practice those regularly. And in addition to that, I created some of my own projects on the side and posted on YouTube to try to connect with more people in a way that we could only do, in the only way we could do in the past year. So I think playing an instrument over the past year has really helped all of us, especially. Yeah. I know it's helped my students for sure. Yes.
I can just say that as a professor, I also have found that allowing my students to just pick music spontaneously at the beginning of class, and then we'll all move to that music, helps bring us into the here and now, the present moment, helps get us ready for the rest of the class time that we spend together on Zoom. And it also, as you are all mentioning, it changes your breathing. It also, when you do the movement, it helps you stretch. So it helps all the systems of your body. We also do something called womping. And womping is where you drink water beforehand, then you take some deep breaths, then you move, and you move in really fun ways. And you always make sure when you move that you cross your midline. So then you're integrating your right and left brain. So that's something that happens automatically when you're making music. But if you're listening to music, when you move, make sure that your movement is crossing the midline of your body. I also put on music, and we'll have Alexa. I'll just say, Alexa, play happy music. Whoops, she might start going here. And whatever mood I want to try and create or stimulate, then she'll respond. And then I just will start by exercising or stretching, and then just let the music lead me and not judge, just move in a way that stretches. And when we're confined in our space, to be able to move as big as you possibly can within that space helps you reorient yourself from the inside to the outside, and helps you feel like you have more freedom and more expansiveness than you may actually have during the COVID, when we've all been more isolated and indoors. So don't be afraid to move, and don't be afraid to experiment and go on a journey, and let that little child in you come out and just play in response to the music. And the music can lead you to the movement can lead you to drawing, to poetry making. So all the arts can be available to you to help shift your mood and maybe ease some depression.
That was great. Thank you so much. Really good last comment. And to wrap us up, just want to share one comment that says, I felt a bit emotional hearing a live concert, my first time since COVID. Thank you for performing for all of us today. So with that, and we're getting some more comments about just how amazing it was. So thank you to Susan Imus for your presentation and really shifting the way we look at art and music. Thank you so much to the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartet for all your practice and for allowing us to hear your performance today. We also want to thank Mark Riggleman, Ashley, for all of your help and collaboration over these past several months. Also to Susan Quintance, who's the director of the Center for Life and Learning. So that's a beautiful background where you see the Clarinet Quartet today. And so thank you to them. That's also where there's the Center for Life and Learning. So that's a learning community for older adults at Fourth Presbyterian Church. So we want to thank all of you for all of your collaboration. We want to thank all of our participants for joining us today. In case you joined a little late or you want to watch this later, it will be saved. So you can use that same link to watch this performance again. It will be saved. And also in the chat box, I'm going to include a link to both the Lake Effect Clarinet Quartets page, as well as the International Music Foundation's website also. So if you want to get more information, that'll be there. And thank you again to all of our participants and for all of those who presented and performed today.